staff, Mecha, Edward, Olmos, and all the folks. If I forgot your name, forgive me. I know it's a long list of people and organizations like CALC and others who helped put this together. I also really appreciative of all the support that the city of Eugene and Springfield has given us, Lane County, over the years. I'm here to tell you that over the last 40 years, the farm worker movement, the immigrant rights movement in the state of Oregon is strong. It's very, very strong. Thanks to you. We couldn't have done it without the support of each and every one of you who are here tonight. I remember coming here about 7 years ago or 8 years ago, and we have our work speaks for itself, but we were able to convince the president of the University of Oregon to make PCUN, this university, our archives. So the University of Oregon has at the Knight Library our archives. If you haven't seen it, please go over there. We've given them all our photographs, all our documents, all our history, and so they're putting together a really valuable archive so that when we're gone, future generations can understand the history of the farm worker movement. I really appreciate all the work that they have done, especially I want to shout out to a couple people, but I want to recognize Lynn Stevens, Professor of Anthropology here at the University of Oregon, who is really helped write the history of the farm worker movement, the history of PCUN. Beautiful publication. We have a website, pcun.org. You can go in there and it's a PDF and it's a beautiful history. We updated it a few years ago. But I'm here to, I don't have a lot of time, but I just want to talk to you about 3 things that's happening with the farm workers. This year was really hard for us. It was really hard for us because last year we had worked so hard to try to ban one of the most dangerous pesticides ever created by mankind. And that pesticide is called chlorophyllosphos. And that pesticide was developed by the Nazis during World War II. And it was modified in the 70s, and it's being used as a pesticide now in the state of Oregon and throughout the country. And for years we had fought EPA to ban that chemical. Even the scientists at EPA determined that that chemical should be banned because any kind of exposure, even through drift, in contact with children or with pregnant women will cause neurological damage to them. And we had convinced EPA to ban it in 2017, but then the November elections happened. And Secretary Pruitt of EPA has recently come out and says that he's going to keep that pesticide on the shelf. And that presents a major danger to farm workers and the consuming public. I live in Woodburn, which is a small little farming community up north in the northern Willamette Valley. And I counted there's 5 schools in our area that has playing fields where kids go and play, and schools right next to agricultural fields where this pesticide is being used. Right? And if these kids are gonna get neurological damage because they're exposed to that, it's a serious danger to all people. We, with the help of Senator Udall and also Jeff Merkley from Oregon, we co-sponsored a bill in the US Senate and the House of Representatives banning that pesticide. So hopefully we can ban it as soon as possible, but we're gonna need your help. The second thing is that in the state of Oregon, PCUN fought really, really hard for worker protection standards under the EPA. I personally have worked more than 25 years to get these standards to protect farm workers from dangerous pesticides. And in 2015, we were able to get the Obama administration to accept new rules. We didn't get everything we wanted. We wanted, for example, when they're spraying in the fields and there's a labor camp, we were promoting regulations that would ban spraying from at least 300 feet from a campsite or a labor campsite where people live. We didn't get that. We only got 100 feet. Now, Oregon OSHA, the agency that's in charge of implementation of the worker protection standards, the new standards, right, wants to gut 2 major provisions to protect farm workers. Are we gonna let them?
No.
So there's hearings coming up in Medford. I believe it's December 6th? 5th, December 5th. There's gonna be on next week, there's gonna be hearings in Hood River. And we had probably the best hearings. We had farm workers and allies. We had over 40 people either present testimony or submitted testimony in Woodburn, Oregon, where it was a show of force for the farm workers and their allies to say we're against that. The last thing I want to say before I close is that farm workers are under extreme attack right now by ICE and immigration. Woodburn and the state of Oregon, we're not a sanctuary city, right? We're a sanctuary state. Exactly 30 years ago, in 1987, with the help of Rocky Barria, the first elected Latino legislature in the history of Oregon, presented a bill for us that would that stated that no local law enforcement can enforce immigration laws, because we were seeing wholesale violations of immigrant rights. In my hometown, I seen police officers guiding ICE agents or immigration agents to where people were living, Latinos were living. These people didn't know whether they were documented or undocumented. And they went and started picking up people. They were knocking down doors, dragging people like Gestapos. 30 years later, the same thing is happening in our community. When Jeff Sessions came to Oregon, he came to our state almost a month ago. And his objective is to eliminate the sanctuary policies that we have in our state, that we promoted and got through past the Oregon legislature. In the Senate, that vote was 29-1 in favor of our sanctuary state. In the House, it was 59-1, right? Overwhelmingly. And it became public policy for 30 years. Today, a group called Oregonians for Immigration Reform are going to try to eliminate that through the ballot measure. So if you see anybody asking for signatures on petition 22, don't sign it. IP 22, don't sign, because they're going to try to take away our rights. As a result of Trump's immigration policy, they have attacked our town of Woodburn. In February, 19 farm workers got up at 4 in the morning to go to work, and at 5 in the morning they were on their way to work when they were detained, arrested, and deported. These are farm workers. These are people that put our food on the table day in and day out. Some of them don't even make minimum wage. And that's the way we treat our workers. About a month ago, right after Sessions had come to Oregon, we had 2 raids in Woodburn. One involving 10 people, another involving 5 people. And we have been building, one of the things that PCUN and our allies have been doing, like CAUSA, we formed a raid resistance network throughout the Willamette Valley. We have 11 so far. And we started educating. With the help of people like Pedro Sosa from the American Friends Service Committee, we have conducted more than 57 workshops on Know Your Rights. So, about a month ago, ICE came to a house looking for an individual. And the individual didn't live there. And that's the excuse they have. They have this photograph that they show everybody. Do you know this person? No, I don't. Well, what about you? Where are you from? And they put their attention on that people. And the family got up at 5 in the morning. They had 3 kids that were taken to the daycare. And they didn't know who they were. They didn't identify themselves as ICE. And they tried to take the kids away. There was 3 kids. And the little high school student who lived in the house, the oldest daughter, saw outside that these people were trying to take away the children. So she called 911. Remember, 30 years ago, Woodburn Police Department was helping the Migra, ICE, arrest people. Well, a month ago, she called 911 saying that they're trying to take away my brothers and sisters. And sure enough, Woodburn Police Department shows up, gets off the car, a woman officer and a male officer, and say, what's going on? That's when the agents showed their badges that they were ICE and that they were looking for this one individual. Woodburn Police Department said, if we get permission to go in the house by this family, we'll go and arrest this person that you're looking for. And ICE agreed. They went into the house, they didn't find anybody. They came back out, and they told ICE, he's not in there, so leave. And ICE left. And that's the work that we've been doing over the last 30 years, over the last 40 years, right? In building community, in building organization, right? I was asked before I came in, tell me one significant thing that has happened in Woodburn, a woman that was coming in who was a teacher at Woodburn High School. Tell me one thing that has happened positive. And I told her, because of PCUN's work, we helped elect. We ran 3 candidates out of 5 to run for the Woodburn School Board, and we won. And we became the first Latino majority school board in Oregon. So I'd like to see that happen in Eugene, and I'd like to see that happen in Springfield.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we're gonna pass the hat around. We're gonna have cans here, and all the funds that we collect today are gonna go to help those 3 families that are victims of rapes. So dig deep in your pockets to help these families, because our ability to defend the rights of immigrants are dependent if we can defend those folks, if we can stop them from getting deported. So everything that we collect today is going to go to the defense of these families. So please give as much as you can, right? This is a worthy cause. And this is the reason why we asked our friends and family here in Eugene to sponsor this. This concert has a benefit to the cause of immigrant rights. So without further ado, I have the real honor and pleasure to introduce Tish Hinojosa. I had the honor of presenting her last night at the concert in Portland, Oregon at SEIU 503. And I'll tell you that you folks are in for a pleasant surprise, really. To me, in my book, she's one of the best singers in America. And she is just awesome, right? And she brings a conjunto. I call it conjunto, it's a trio, right, of musicians that are professional musicians, and you guys are in for a treat. And that's all I'm gonna say. And thank you very much for having me. I wanna thank Mecha, and I wanna thank all the folks here who came out to support us. The cause is worthy, and si se puede. Se puede?
Sí se puede.
Thank you very much.